you see my baby, tell her I'll see her in New Orleans. Have you seen my baby? Now tell her I'll see her in New Orleans. I may be in Memphis, she'll know just what I mean. Hi, that's a little part of a song I wrote a while ago called New Orleans, and it's basically a slow blues in E, and it's loosely based around the playing of Lightning Hopkins. But when you're putting a song together, there's a few things that you need to consider that we don't really read about in books. For example, we're playing a blues in E, and we're just going to use three chords: the major E chord, A, the long A, with A7, and B7 in 2 or 3 forms. Now, because the blues is in this way is such a simple structure, we have a bit of a problem. In the first place, it's a great advantage because we don't have to change chords many times, but one of our problems is that it's difficult to make it sound interesting to somebody listening to. And we've all heard the rendition of the famous blues in E that's bored as stiff after maybe 5 minutes or so. So what can we do? What do we do to make it more interesting? And there are various places that we can do that. The first place is the introduction, because we capture people's attention. It's interesting, and it creates the scene. It sets the atmosphere ready for the song. So we finish the introduction and we start to get ready to sing. Now, singing brings its own particular problems because we're finger picking, and it's very, very few people that can finger pick while they're singing with the same kind of dexterity. So what we tend to do, we have a little flourish before we start, and then we sing. And while we're singing, we do something that's a little bit less complicated, that we can handle, and at the same time desperately trying not to show that what we're trying to do is quite difficult to sing along with some finger picking patterns. So with this song, for example, I start in this way. If you don't make it down in New Orleans. And you notice that while I'm singing, there's not a lot happening. And then after I've sung a few words, I do something to fill in, ready for the next line. Because if not, it's very boring. We could sing, if you don't make it. And it's just a basic beat, but we can do something extra. And this is the secret, trying to find this extra thing to do. If you don't make it, we could go. Down in New Orleans. So there's always something happening after the lyrics. It follows a basic form, but we can play around with what we do in those locations. Also, another thing to do that makes the music a little bit more interesting is to put a link between the chords. So for example, if I'm playing E and I'm going to move to A, I'll slide up from the 2nd fret of the bass E to the 4th in this way. So it leads into the A without changing to it directly. It provides more interesting. And sometimes as you notice there, when I get a little bit lost, I just strum. When we're moving from the A to the B7, which is in its basic form is this chord, we can just run up in this way. And then run back to the A7 on that bass string. When we go back to the E, we can hammer on this string. It all adds to the complexity. They're very simple things to do, but it helps the audience to enjoy the music. It introduces complexity, but it's not too complicated, and it doesn't get in the way. Now, of course, at the end of every verse, we've got this famous end tag or turnaround. The blues in E, it takes quite a few forms. A simple form that I like is this. It's really just on one string. You can play it with a pinch. Or you can play it in this way with another finger. And depending on the flavour of your blues in E, you can add the other finger in the D7 formation to play something like this. In a kind of Brownie McGee style, but of course this lends itself more to a ragtime swing feel. And when we finish the verse or finish the song, we come back to E, and there's a tendency to move to B7 to turn around the verse in this way. We start singing again. But in my opinion, it's not too authentic. Very often the old bluesmen would stay on that E chord when they finished in this way, or they'd move to another part of the E chord instead of going back to the B7. If you don't make it down in New Orleans, if you don't make it, you don't make it down to New Orleans. Tell my gal I'll see her in Memphis. She'll know what you mean. And of course there are more than one end tag. We've looked at a few. Really nice for finishing off the verse and turning around for the next verse. We could play something like this. Or really anything we like that fitted. It's up to us to explore the possibilities and try to create something that's nice to listen to, and as I often say, something that's authentic. Does it make a tingle run down your spine? If it doesn't, try it again.